Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It is Tuesday, June 14th. It's Flag Day, and it's official. The bear is alive and well. Remember 6 months ago, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, when so many of you called and said that you were piling money into the stock market, and I would say things like, well, that's a pretty big allocation into stocks, and there'd be some pushback. Well, I'm not going to say I told you so, because who knew? But we are down a substantial amount in just 6 months. So let's do some of these numbers so you have a sense of this. The S&P 500 was down just under 3.9% yesterday. And that means it has dropped 21.8% from the peak that it reached on January 3rd. Now, the NASDAQ was already in a bear market, but it was rough on the NASDAQ yesterday, down almost 4.7%. And that means that since peaking in November of 2021, the NASDAQ composite has lost, get this, a third of its value. Woof, it's rough. Now, for all the people who were buying crypto and trying to convince us that it was going to do really well in times of volatility, yeah, not so much. Bitcoin slammed. Completely shellacked, actually. And interestingly enough, for all the people who were really all in on crypto, who said they would be holding on for dear life, you know, that was the whole thing there, right? Bitcoin was down by about 14% yesterday. It's trading at, as I record this, after the close of trading of the stocks, so around 4:30 Eastern Time, 23,568. Yowza. Seems like a long time ago already that it was almost 60,000. So what's going on? Okay. Before we start going nuts, we've been talking about this. There's been pressure all year long. Why? Because people are worried that higher prices, inflation, along with a rising interest rate environment, will keep eating into corporate profits, and that consumers are just not going to be able to maintain the current level of spending. That's especially as they continue to spend pretty freely right now and draining some of the pandemic era savings. So think of it this way. The current combination of high prices and rising interest rates is just feeding into overall negativity. And that is really weighing on stocks. This is all happening. The Federal Reserve is starting the 2-day meeting today. And now all of a sudden, remember when Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, said, no, there's not going to be a 75 basis point increase. He said it at the May press conference, so 6 weeks ago. He said, quote, a 75 basis point increase is not something the committee is actively considering. Maybe they want to reconsider that. I think they are reconsidering it. So we'll be watching the Fed, see what they're doing, and we're going to have to see whether the Fed can really see a way to get to this so-called soft landing. I don't know. I'm not sure they're going to do it. So recession fears are running rampant. People are worried. And what does that mean for you? I don't know if it means a lot to you. I think it's time for us to control the things that we can control, right? That's what Mark and I are here for. We want to help you get to a better place with your financial life. So if you're freaking out about markets or have a big financial decision ahead of you, just go to the website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and let us know if you would be willing to come on the air. That's what Joe did. Joe is on the line from Illinois. Joe, what brings you to our airwaves? What can we do for you?
Well, I recently got married.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was a long time coming, so it was really awesome to finally kind of get it, I mean, not over with, but it's good to be married now and kind of take that next step. Before we got married, I don't think either of us actually ever talked about money or really even thought about it too much. So we're both good with money, but we don't really have any planning with it.
Okay. And are you both employed?
We are both employed, yes.
Okay, Joe, how much do you make?
I make between 80 and maybe 110 a year.
Okay. And do you have a retirement plan available?
I do. I have some kind of pension plan and then some kind of annuity plan, but it's more like a 401k, but it's not defined as a 401k.
Are you a teacher?
No, I am a union electrician.
Oh man, why don't you live in New York? I'm always looking for a good electrician. I could get you a lot of work. You should come here just for a week. I'd fill it up for you. Okay, so you're a union electrician. How does the pension work? Do you know? Do you know like how it's based on your earnings, or how does it work?
Yes. So every hour I work, I get money towards my pension or hours towards my pension.
Mm-hmm.
So every hour I work, I get $20 that goes to my retirement.
I see. Presumably, at some point in the future, with enough hours in and enough years of service, you get to collect that pension. We'll
Yes.
see how that goes, right? Because how old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
Okay. And wife is how old?
32.
And in terms of the annuity, you could put money into a 401k, which is always an annuity when it's a union contract. Do you do that right now or not?
So that $20, $6 goes into that annuity plan, and the rest of it goes towards my hours for my pension.
And could you put more money into the annuity if you wanted to?
No, I cannot.
Okay, got it.
But that's
Great.
the other question. That's one of my questions, though.
You mean like, should you do more saving?
So the situation I'm in now, this $20, I can either choose to put it all into this 401k type plan, or I can keep it the current way I have it now, going to my pension and 401k.
And this is a big union. Like I don't have to worry about the union pension going broke, right?
No, right now we are over 100% funded.
Oh, I love that. Those are my favorite kinds of pensions, the overfunded ones. Okay. I mean, it might be different, by the way, if you worked for like the state of Illinois, which has an underfunded pension, a very underfunded pension, actually. So, okay, my inclination is, we'll talk more, but when you first said that to me, I'm like, pension, keep it the way it is, because these annuity contracts are usually kind of crappy in terms of like what they offer in investments and the cost. Let's just talk about wife for a second.
Okay.
How much does wife earn?
She earns about 45 a year.
Okay. And does she also have a retirement plan available?
She has nothing available at all.
Does she use an IRA or a Roth IRA?
So she did finally start using, she has a traditional IRA. She has been putting in for the last couple of years.
Do you know how much money's in there?
About 15,000 in there.
Okay. And when you look at your retirement savings, what's about the current balance there?
So I have 95,000 in my annuity, and I have about 25,000 in a Roth IRA.
Where's that Roth IRA held?
Just at my bank.
Can we get her to get out of the traditional IRA and make it a Roth?
Yeah, that's what I've been pushing her to that. I didn't know she had a traditional until we got married.
The truth came out. You had a traditional, not a Roth. Okay. So how about money in the bank for you guys?
We have 165,000 in cash between us.
What? Where'd that all come from?
I don't spend money, and she's kind of the same way. And then I sold my house in 2019 or 2020.
Okay. Do you have a house together right now?
Yes, we have a townhome.
How much is it worth?
$275.
Outstanding mortgage.
So it's her townhome, and she does not have a mortgage on it.
Oh my God. This is too funny. Okay. You're weirdos. I love you already. So there's no mortgage because she hates debt.
Yes.
So I presume there's no college debt for either of you either.
No, there's not.
Of course not. How long are you going to stay in this townhome?
So we are looking to move to Tennessee.
Why?
And she has family there, and I do not like Illinois.
Are you from Illinois?
I am. I've been here my entire life.
You mean the whole state you don't like? All right, forget it. Where are we going to move in Tennessee? What happens? Tell me more about this. I'm excited.
So she has family there. Her brother and sister and then niece and nephew are there, and her soon-to-be another niece or nephew. And her parents just bought a place in a Del Webb community there.
How much do we have to pay for a new house?
So that's another question. We don't know how much we can really afford. Probably around $600,000 for what we want.
Okay. You're a union electrician. Would you earn the same amount of money in Tennessee?
So the plan for that would be for me to be on the road about 6 months a year and then work in Tennessee for about 6 months of the year. And I would make slightly less than what I make now.
But you'd be part of the union?
Yes.
Can we convince her to have some mortgage?
I believe I can convince her. And again, that's one of those things I did not know. And I would have probably steered her away from not having a mortgage.
I'm laughing so hard.
Early.
I mean, you could imagine, though, interesting for you that like it could have been a terrible situation where you found out some horrible things about her. Instead, it's like, well, I have a traditional, not a Roth, and I don't have a mortgage, you know?
I guess in the scheme of things, that's really not bad either.
It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. And when do you think this is going to happen, the move?
So it would have happened already if the market didn't go crazy.
Because you can't find a house.
Yes.
And so you're actively looking.
Not anymore. We stopped looking. It got too frustrating. It's
exhausting, right?
It is. It's super exhausting.
Okay. So let's say she sells the townhouse. Let's just say for now, I'm just going to play with some numbers here. You've got this 165 in cash. Because she hates debt, I don't want to make it crazy. I don't want to be like, oh, well, just put 20% down, because I don't think she'll be able to swallow that, to be honest with you. I mean, because sometimes you just have to admit who you are, right? So here's a woman who, somehow or other on 45 grand has a paid for townhouse, right? I would take, of the 165 that's in cash, I'd take 25 of that. I'd put $300,000 down and get a $300,000 mortgage. And I bet she could live with that. Because what you'll be able to do is sort of prove to her, like, look, if I make 100 and you make 45, we can afford that. Mark, what's a $300,000 30-year? Don't tell her 30 just yet. Okay, we're going to have to sell this to her. What is the payment, a principal and interest, $300,000 mortgage, 30-year fixed at 5%?
About $1,600.
How does that sound in terms of a payment? I feel like that's going to be completely reasonable for you guys.
Yeah, that's really reasonable. We really don't spend a lot of money.
Obviously, you've got 165 grand in cash. Okay, I think that's like sort of should be the long-term game plan. Do you think you guys are going to be having children?
Yes, that's kind of in the talks right now.
So here's how you're going to sell the mortgage. You're going to say, talk to Jill and Mark. And the thing is, if we're going to have kids and our cash flow is going to change because we're going to have children, we're going to want to save for college. And we want to have access to money to fund all of these goals going forward. So we really need a mortgage, and we can always pay it down sooner than 30 years, but let's give ourselves a little flexibility for the years that we're going to be having children and raising our children. That's sort of the big picture game plan. And that's how you sell somebody on the idea of having debt, which is you want to use the extra money not to pay down the mortgage, but to fund a 529 plan or to put money into, maybe they're going to go to private schools or just raising them. Like it's just going to cost more money because, you can't say to your kids, like, just go without those shoes. You have to feed them. You have to dress them. There's all the things you have to do as parents. So we're going to have to spend some more money. The cash on hand. I think that what we should consider for her, she doesn't have a retirement plan available. So the first thing I want to consider for her is I think she should convert her traditional IRA into a Roth IRA. She should do that now while you guys are still in a tax bracket where it's kind of affordable. Is there any state income tax in Tennessee?
In Tennessee, no, there's just capital gains tax.
Okay, that's what I thought. You may want to do this once you get to Tennessee, because it will actually save you a tiny bit of money to convert with no state income tax. I mean, right now you're married filing jointly. Your top tax bracket is 22%. You can convert this extra $15,000 and pay the tax that's due. It'll show up on your income tax as income, right? $15,000 from a traditional, and you report it and you pay the tax that's due. And now she should have a Roth IRA, and she should use a Roth IRA going forward. And you also should open up a Roth IRA for you.
Yes, I have a Roth.
Yeah, so you have that Roth, but we need you to get it moving, not at a bank. Where's her traditional IRA held?
I believe it's held with Charles Schwab.
Perfect. So why don't you move your Roth IRA and open up the account at Charles Schwab?
My Roth in my bank is invested. It's like it's same with my brokerage account. My brokerage account is also through my bank, but it's still all invested.
Yeah, but what's it invested in? Like what bank are we talking about?
So it's through Chase, and I just self-direct it like an investment account.
isn't it more expensive to be like in a stupid JP Morgan Chase product or environment? Or do you have like a robo option? Are they giving you like, do you know how you pay for it?
Yeah, I don't think I really have any fees for the account. I just have fees for what I invest. And right now I have 3 different just ETFs that are just funding everything.
I mean, that's not terrible. I personally would not be doing it at Chase ever. No matter what, there's going to be a fee down the road for something or whatever, but you can keep it where it is as long as you tell me that it's like, okay, really, I have no cost. Don't you want to have everything together? Because I imagine you're going to be the person who manages this.
Yeah, I don't think she likes the idea of managing money.
Move them together. Either pick Chase or pick Schwab. Move them together, right? What did you say about a brokerage account? How much is in there?
Between both of us, we have about $250,000 in brokerage.
I don't know if you said that, which is great. $250,000 in brokerage. Mark, they're 30 years old. Okay, that's all I can say. You know what she's going to want to do? I'm just going to remind you. She's going to want to take that 250, and she's going to say, with the equity of the townhouse and the brokerage account, we can have no debt.
It's exactly what she said.
I know exactly that person. I know who she is. That'd be a big mistake. Big mistake. I want her to understand that when you do that, you rob yourself of options. And really, what we need you guys to do, especially younger people who are starting families, is that access to your money is really key. Now, I am not suggesting that you will have a $300,000 mortgage forever. And maybe by the time, if in a year from you haven't found a home and interest rates have gone completely ballistic and crazier, maybe I'll change my mind. But I think theoretically, it is probably going to be better to have access to some of that money, especially when it comes to having a family. You're going to want to use that money, like that brokerage account money. You're going to be like, I want to open a 529 plan with that. And I want to put some money in for the kids, and I want to get that money moving. The world can change a lot. And, you know, if we're talking about a 12% mortgage, then sure, we'll pay cash for it, right? But even if you think about probably when you started looking for a house, which is, I don't know, when was that? When did you start looking in Tennessee?
We started looking about a year and a half ago, and then we stopped looking pretty shortly after that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can't deal. And so mortgage rates popped on you. And prices popped on you. And most importantly, you couldn't find a house that you wanted. So what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is when you think you find a house that you really like, you can come back on the air together and we'll walk her through it. And we'll say, here's the game plan. We'll do it. We'll do it together. Like, we will do it as a group project and we'll figure out, like, you find the house, we'll figure out how to finance it. How about that?
That sounds perfect.
All right, good. So for now, we don't really have to go hard on this because you just say, hey, you know, we got this, I got advice and we'll move some things around. We'll consolidate things, you know, definitely have her convert her traditional IRA into a Roth, use the Roth. And when you get that house that your dream-ish house, come back with us, have her come on with you, and we'll figure out what the best options are.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right, you guys have life insurance?
That was the other question. We don't. We're looking into it. Does she need life insurance?
Well, she's going to be a mama, and you know she's 32 years old, and I'd rather her have it and do it before she has children. And you know, since you're going to be gone for 6 months, she's going to be the primary caretaker of your children. So I would get some for sure. You know, it doesn't have to be crazy, but maybe Mark, what do you think for each of them?
Well, it's going to be very cheap. So I would say $500,000 to $750,000.
I was thinking $500,000 on each of them. And you can just get 20-year level term insurance. You just go to like anything online. Policy Genius is a supporter of this show, but you can go to any place online and you get, what's the other one? Haven Life. You can check it out. 20-year level term life insurance. And you get $500,000 on each of you. And you don't have to think twice about it. Done. It's like already done. And if you don't need it, it's going to be a very low dollar amount every year. Now you're married, wills?
Yeah, we have to do that too. I knew the questions were coming.
I know.
And
it's
I
terrible.
was working on it this week. And
does it hurt? Does it hurt to know? You're like, jeez, I wish I had this answer. Darn it. I know.
It hurts. It hurts to know that I didn't have the answer and I knew I was going to be asked the question.
You guys are killing it. You're doing such a great job, Joe, and you are in such fantastic shape. It's funny. we often get dinged on the show because they're like, oh, you only have rich people on. Well, you know what? I don't know what your wife does for a living, but we have a guy who is a union electrician and his wife who makes 45 grand a year, and they have a bunch of money saved. So it's not like it's impossible. So I applaud you. And Mark, any final words for Joe before we let him go?
I was going to say, Joe, I would probably keep doing what you're doing in terms of funding that pension. I don't think I would go all annuity.
No way. All pension all the time. I think you're going to be happy to have that pension. Joe from Illinois, thank you so much. We wish you luck, and we look forward to talking to you about our new house in Tennessee.
Oh, thank you, Jill. Thank you, Mark.
It's great. If you would like to join us on the program, all you need to do is go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and let us know if you want to come on, and Mark will do the rest. It's so easy. While you're on the website, check out all the other great content and our free weekly newsletter. You know, we always ask you to do something nice for someone else today. So here's the nice thing that you could do for us. Could you leave us a rating and a review? We'd really appreciate it. Grit, growth, grace. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.